Hello guys, I got my new toy. This time I got the first look sensor made by Sonex company. This is not something new. This has been around for many years now. I already have a first look sensor made by this company. I think this is actually, I think they're in Eastern Europe somewhere, and this actually works pretty well as well. And now I was actually looking for this sensor just to see how it works, and this one is made by Sonex, made in the United States, and it's pretty much the same as the other one. I think it's more rugged, and basically it measures the differential in pressure. So I got this on eBay. I got a pretty good deal on. I got actually a full kit with other stuff, so I'm gonna sell some things, I'm gonna keep some things. So anyway, so this sensor comes with a VNC cable, comes with instructions, it comes with this hose that has a spring on it, so you can actually put it in the tailpipe, and so we can actually look at the pulsation of each cylinder. And so with this sensor we can look at the intake, we can look at exhaust. Today I'm gonna show you how to look at, we're gonna put this in a tailpipe. I tried this before, and honestly I was really confused. I didn't know how to sync this and how to correctly identify the cylinders, and I had this sensor now for a week, and I did some more research, and I think I finally figured out how it needs to be done. This can be used on any lab scope. You gotta have a 2-channel scope, because you're gonna have a sync, and then you're gonna look at the signal from the first look sensor. But doing this on a picoscope is really makes it so much easier, because I'll show you guys, we're gonna put our trigger and our vertical cursors, and it just makes it so much easier. So instead of something else, as I was trying to get the better signal from this sensor, I found out that actually I made this little, I'm going to use a little longer hose, and I had a funnel that I just cut the part off of it, so I can actually amplify the signal from the tailpipe. But also what I noticed that this hose is it's too short, and you put in the tailpipe, the sensor it's in the air, so it vibrates as the tailpipe, as the exhaust vibrates. So I think that kind of increases the noise on the signal. So if we use a longer hose, and if this sensor is firmly on the ground, it makes better signal. It's easier to understand. So let's go ahead and place this sensor in a tailpipe, and then I'll show you how to set up the scope. And I'm just going to use the 2 channels from the automotive scope. Now, this can be used on non-automotive picoscope as well. There will be no difference at all. Basically, you're just going to have 2 signals you're going to sync, and you can actually we can do all the vertical cursors same as we can do on the automotive scope. And okay, so let's connect this to a tailpipe, and then we'll set the scope. Okay, so I'm just going to place this hose with the funnel into the exhaust, and I'm going to connect my hose to my sensor. And since I don't have the spring anymore, I'm just going to use this clamp. I'm just going to clamp it a little bit so it doesn't move much, just like that. And now we're going to use connect our BNC cable, and that should be it. You can go to the scope and set up the scope. As a sync, I'm going to use my inductive pickup. I'm going to place it on my number 1 coil, and that's going to be our sync. I'm just going to put it on a coil, and so let's go ahead. And we're going to use my Chevy. This is a 5.3 liter engine. It's a Z code. And okay, so let's set up the scope. Okay, so we have a cylinder 1, 3, 5, and 7. That is on a driver's side. On the passenger side, we're going to have 2, 4, 6, and 8. And the firing order is 1, 8, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, and 3. Okay, to set the scope, it's pretty straightforward. As I said, I'm going to have 2 channels. channel A is going to be our sync. I had to invert this channel because my ignition waveform is upside down. I'm just going to use this inverted channel, and for my it's going to be a DC volts, and on a second channel is going to be our signal from first look sensor. I'm going to have a 10 volts DC, and I'm going to have a sync trigger. I'm going to trigger from channel A, and that should do it. So let's go ahead and now just hook up your BNC leads to your scope. And all right, so I'm going to start the car, and now let's see what we can find. Okay, so now I'm gonna, this is a 500 milliseconds per division, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, change my time scale. Okay, and now we can see I'm triggering off the cylinder number 1, and now we can change this voltage a little bit. We can change the voltage down a little bit. We can now we can see, now this doesn't make much sense at all. And basically, as I said, we're going to see the exhaust pulsations, but in order to have some sense, what we need to do next is to place some cursors, and I'm going to stop this. And so the nice thing about the picoscope is that we can actually use the vertical cursors as a for the degrees, and so I'm going to go to, this is basically between these two ignition events on the cylinder number 1. It's a 720 degrees of crankshaft rotation, and so I got that. Now, again, nice thing about a picoscope is that we can actually get rulers, and so no, as far as I know, no other scopes don't have this option. So this actually is very useful. Now we're going to divide our, since we have 8 cylinders, we're going to add 8 cursors in between. So now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 pulses from each cylinder. Now, this is the part that was always confusing for me. I could never figure this out. But basically now, since we are looking at the exhaust pulses and we are triggering from the ignition, now of course the exhaust valve is going to open after the compression stroke, and so now we need to shift our pattern. So as I said before, my firing order is 8, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, and 3. On the V6 engines, we're going to shift our firing order for 3 to the right. Okay. On the V6 engine, we would shift we're going to shift 2, and on the 4th cylinder we would shift 1. We always shift to the right. So I'm just going to use the marker now, so it's going to be easier. So we're going to have a 1, 2, 3. So number 1 cylinder is actually going to be here. So we're going to have number 1, and then 8, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, and 3. So this is how you're going to identify your cylinders, and that's, as I said, this is very nice by using the picoscope, is that we can actually put these cursors in between and divide your 720 degrees of a crankshaft for the rotation for every 90 degrees. So now you can see all of your, you can have better look and a better understanding, how to figure out what cylinder is what. Okay, so let's start it up and create the misfire, and see if we can actually, if we did this right or not. So now during the misfire, this we can actually, anytime we have a misfire, whether we have ignition related, fuel related, or compression related, these amplitudes of these signals are going to be different. So we're going to be able to identify misfire cylinder. Now this is very useful if we have an intermittent misfire, or where maybe a case where using the scan tool, the PCM misidentify the cylinder, and with this we can be sure that we can actually see what cylinder is misfiring. It's not going to be hard to figure it out. So let's go ahead and start it up again, and then I will unplug one by one coil, and then we'll see the difference on the amplitude of these pulses. So now we have to wait a little bit for the RPM to stabilize a little bit. Now you can see now each car is going to be a little bit different, but basically if we have a misfire, one of the pulses is going to be much different. So okay, so I'm going to the driver's side. I'm going to unplug cylinder number 3. I cannot do number 1 because I'm going to lose my sync. I'm just going to go to number 3 and see if this amplitude right in this area should change, indicated misfiring cylinder or misfiring number 3 cylinder. Okay, you can see right away that our number 3 is misfiring, so I'll show you guys that I did unplug cylinder number 3. So this is number 1, 3, 5, and 7. So number 3 is unplugged, and you can see that on our waveform that number 3 is misfiring. Okay, I'm gonna unplug number 5 next. That's number 5. And number 7. That's number 7. I'm going to unplug number 3 as well and see what the multiple misfire would look like on this waveform. Number 3. It's very nice actually. 3 and 7 now unplugged. Let's go. I'm going to go number 5 as well. There you go. Now it's shifting a little bit too much, so number 5, number 3, number 7 are unplugged. For these two, you can see 5, 7, and number 3 as well. So I'm going to connect the back up. Okay, I'm going to go to a driver's side. I'm going to unplug number 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, here's number 2. Number 2. Number 4. Let's see number 4. Now, I'm going to unplug the injector. So this will be an ignition misfire. Let's say I'm going to unplug injector number 4 and see if you can tell any difference or not. I'm going to stabilize a little bit. This is injector unplugged. It's pretty much the same. Okay. And I'll go to 6. It's number 6. Number 8. There we go. Okay, so we can see that every time we have a misfire, the amplitude on those cylinders will change. So, okay, so this is what we seen on the 8-cylinder engine. Now I'm gonna use a Chrysler 2.7 V6, and we're gonna do the same thing, but the setup's gonna be a little bit different, and so we're gonna do the same test and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is a 2.7 V6. This is cylinder number 2, 4, and 6, and we have 1, 3, and 5, and I have my inductive pickup. I'm gonna have my ignition event from cylinder number 1, and I already have my first look sensor plug connected to my tailpipe. Okay, firing order on this car is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm just going to erase this because it's going to be different now. And let's start it up. I may have to play with my inductive pickup. Okay, here's the first look sensor. I'm going to see if you can see the amplitude is much higher on this car. And I think my ignition is actually, I need to go back, it's not inverted. I'm going to go back to a regular. Okay, let's see here. I have to move it a little bit. Okay. There we go. I need to find my trigger. Okay. So I'm gonna place my cursors now in between. So you can see every time, and every car has a little bit different. You know, this one actually has not much nicer waveform, it's V6, and so next we need to get our cursors on our ignition, and this being a V6, we'll change the rulers to a 6. Okay, there we go. Now we can see all the pulsations. I'm going to stop this for a second. Now I did find that on this first look sensor, if the sensor is on the ground, it really makes a much better signal, because it was really choppy, and there's a lot of noise, and it's under for vibration of the sensor itself. So if it's on the ground, it makes a lot easier, a lot better signal. Okay, so as I said, the firing order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This being a 6-cylinder engine, we're gonna shift our firing order to 2. So we're gonna shift to the 3rd slot. So this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Okay. So I'm going to start the car again. I'm going to now make some misfires and see if you did this right or not. Okay, I'm just going to wait for a rider to stabilize again. And also, as I was doing this, I realized that if I actually have an amplitude smaller on my signal and I have a misfire more, it's more pronounced. There we go. Now it's going to go back where it needs to be. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go to a number 2. So we should see now change in amplitude right in here. There you go. That's number 2. Now if we decrease the voltage, we're going to increase this, so whichever way you like it, you know, but you can clearly see that this is misfiring cylinder right now. And I'll show you guys that we have a number 2 unplugged. see it's cylinder number 2 is unplugged. Okay. Alright, so let's go to a number 4. Here's number 4. There you go. Number 4. Go number 6. There you go. Very nice. Go number 5. Number 5. And then number 3. It's a bit harder because of the intake manifold. Let's try. There you go. Number 3. Remove this little bit. Number 3. Okay. Okay, I got this adapter now. I'm going to create a intermittent misfire, and then we'll see if we can see that on the first look sensor. I'm just going to this has with a So let's see if we can see that on the waveform. Okay, I'm going to move these rulers for now because I'm going to need a little bit longer time base right now so we can catch this misfire, and then we'll go back and okay, see this. Okay, that should do it. Okay, there's now a misfire here. Right here as well. So now we need to see which one is. This will work. Okay, I'm going to shut the fire off. So there was a cylinder number 2 that we had a misfire on. Let's see if we can zoom this in. And, okay, so now I need to put my cursors in. Get my rulers. Okay, now I just have to change this real quick. We can see right away that actually the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we can see that right away that we have a misfire on number 2. It's actually pretty cool. I really like it. That's right there. Let's see this. Not sure what am I doing wrong here with these cursors, but okay, so let's do this one here. Just gonna move it back. Get the rulers up, and you can see this here. Yeah, okay, yep, that's sort of. It's going to be again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, okay. I think this is actually pretty cool. This is a really nice way of identify the misfire cylinder. You know, every car is going to be a little bit different. Some going to be more pronounced than another, but definitely, I mean, there's no question that, you know, we had a number 2. But so again, whether you have ignition or fuel related, any type of misfire, it will be seen on this on the tailpipe. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will definitely use this more in the future. I really was struggling. I had tried for the longest time to be able to sync the to understand, you know, how to set up the scope and how to be able to identify cylinders, how to shift that firing order to identify each pulse, and it's actually pretty easy. And you know, I unplugged injectors, I unplugged the coils. You can see every time the amplitude will change, you can identify the cylinder. Very nice on the intermittent misfire. I liked it a lot. I'm glad I did that. So I actually did use that first look sensor that I had before. I used it on the Chevy that had a problem with the intake valve, that I actually plugged it into the intake manifold. That was actually pretty cool too. So anyway, this is a really nice tool. Again, this is nothing new. This has been around for a decade or so, but something to, you know, consider. And especially, as I said, intermittent misfires and, you know, the cases where PCM misidentifies cylinder and we're chasing the different cylinder. You know, with this we can really figure out easily what cylinder is misfiring. So and this actually you can actually do like a relative compression test with this. There's so much stuff that can be done with these sensors, but you know, it's just to get good at it, you just have to use it. You have to do it on a good cars, and you know, until you get a car with a problem. So definitely I will use this in the future. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Thank you.